Welcome to Retail Tech Revolution by CBTS. I'm the producer, Lance Hart. Today, I'm joined by Justin Rice and John Lloyd. Justin, let's jump right in.
All right. Thanks, Lance. And John, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
If you haven't been here before, we're going to make this very conversational. We really like to talk about trends in the market that we see, both from a business perspective and then align that to technology and really what we see in the market. So today, we're going to talk about modernizing the in-store experience with unified commerce. And I'd really like to start talking about what we see with unified commerce, and then what are the technology considerations that we see retailers, making as we move forward into 2024 and beyond to really help adopt their strategy to conform to unified commerce. So to start, let's talk through. Let's define it in our own words. John, what do you think unified commerce means?
What I love about retail is how technology advances, and it is the one vertical you can always tie real dollars to and watch them grow. So I love how technology is enabling more revenue, more uptime, things like that. When you talk about this unified commerce, to me, it's a 360 view of the customer journey, right? Mm-hmm. It's the ability to meet your customer, meet your buyer, where, when, how they want to do business. Never be the reason somebody can't give you money. And so you have people who want to shop online. You have people who want to shop in store. You have people that maybe want to do both, right? And so for me, it's about stitching together and understanding how consumers are coming in and engaging with your brand. Are they doing it in the store? Are they doing it from a PC? Are they doing it from an app? What is the attach rate? What do they then, if you buy X, you tend to buy Y, that sort of stuff. So using technology to really understand your relationship with your end consumer.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, I view unified commerce as the seamless experience in the customer journey. It's been no secret. Retailers for years have had e-commerce presence. They've had brick-and-mortar presence. And those things oftentimes haven't been married together.
Yep.
And this idea of a seamless customer journey to, I can put something in my cart online. I want to go see it in the store, and I walk in the store and they know who I am and help assist me with that transaction. That to me is unified commerce, which is the seamless journey as a buyer, which has a lot of technological implications, I think, which is different from traditional approaches.
We're ready for 2.0, right? 1.0 existed and has existed for, I think COVID drove a lot of it, but the idea of the pickup in store, right? Yep. So I go to bigboxretail.com, I fill my cart, but I want that instant gratification. I don't want to wait 2 days. I don't want to wait even 24 hours, sometimes same day shipping. I'm going to go pick it up. And so I put it in my cart, I pay, and 2 hours later, I drive to the store, walk up to customer service, and my order's there, right? You've created this journey where you allowed me to buy in the way I want, but with the satisfaction that I want. That's the 1.0. I think where we're going to talk about and where we're going is with technology, creating exactly what I think you were getting at, which is a experience that starts online and an experience that extends to the store, not just picking it up, right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly right. Tie in your loyalty and knows who I am when I enter the store. It gives me a customized experience, just like it would be in the e-commerce. Retailers know generally when you're shopping online, they know every step that you take to get to the product that you're going to buy. Yep. Taking that experience, making it true omni-channel, and having that same experience in the footprint of the store is a really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, something tying together purchase history, right? So, my grocery store, if I can get it delivered to my door, I can go and shop and buy it in store. I can also do, shop online and go pick up in store. All of those are stitched together and tied on my loyalty number. Yeah. And so that becomes very important from a convenience standpoint of the buy it again factor, right? So if, my wife says, hey, can you handle the groceries? Oh, sure. But now I can go in and see, oh, she likes that brand, or these are the things that we get for the kids' lunches and some things that I'm maybe not as hands-on with. That same concept of understanding, that's the benefit for me. That's the experience that I get, is no matter how I buy, I have this easy button to kind of go back to. And it's no different. We see with Amazon, we'll say, hey, it's been 60 days since you bought this product. We see customers typically rebuy. Maybe it's something like, beauty products, makeup, things like that you constantly replenish, being able to kind of get that reminder of most of our customers. Let me stitch together my analytics. Most of our customers that buy this product buy it again in 60 days. It's been 45 days since you bought it. Those are things that really help drive the customer experience with that analytics.
Yeah, I think so. I think the customers are really demanding this experience in their shopping behavior. I think it is a competitive differentiator in the retail sector. What I've seen, and you and I talk to the retail clients all the time, right, is their systems are still siloed in a way that prevent that true journey experience, which seems to be a risk. As retailers embark on this strategy is, oh man, I have systems that aren't ready for this.
Not just the systems, it's also understanding your buying model. There's third parties that get in the middle here, right? Whether you're talking a DoorDash or Uber in fast casual food retail, or something like Shipt or Instacart in brick and mortar retail. And by the way, sometimes you use those third parties as a retailer, sometimes you don't. You'd rather not, because sometimes they can take revenue, but also when you need to meet the demand, now you want to take. So how do you use dynamically understanding? So it's not just your systems, it's integration into other systems. And I work with a fast casual food retailer, and I was in one of their stores kind of doing a business study and meeting with them and their clients. And they had 3 different iPads, and it was for the 3 different food delivery services. One was turned on and the other 2 weren't. And, we're with business leaders and they're going, it's too hard.
It's too much.
We're getting overwhelmed. And this one ties into our point of sale. These 2 don't. And so when we get busy, we just turn those off. What an aha moment, right? For them to go, well, we need all 3 of them, because as a consumer, you probably have one you're loyal to, an Uber Eats or a DoorDash or a Postmates or, Grubhub, whatever your thing is, you tend to go there first. And so when you see that store is grayed out or not available, you just order something else. You're not going to go, oh, well, now let me switch to a different app. And so that was a huge takeaway of how do we build our systems as a retailer to be able to help meet our customer with whatever, however they're buying.
Yeah, you hit on a point that I had here on the outline as we prepared which is like the operational efficiency of the in-store employee, utilizing something that corporate IT can help govern, which is centralized data management, all that sort of thing, to help bring more operational efficiency in the store. Because right now, to your point, we do see a lot of disparate system activity out there because you have all these point solutions, but really building this from the ground up with operational efficiency in mind should be a key consideration. As you think as a retailer and you want to look at modernizing your experience with unified commerce, let's talk through the importance of the different systems and data, POS, customer loyalty. Where's your brain at the integration of all these systems and data?
It's a challenge for retailers because you have personal data, right? So you have to protect it. Nobody wants to be the retailer say, oh, we've been ransomware or whatever, we're compromised and data was stolen. But that happens and that world's out there. So the first is obviously security of all of this data. It's easy online, right? You went to my website, you clicked some stuff. But what about when you came in my store, right? Where did you spend the most amount of time? Did you walk right past the front door? And typically you do, right? You walk into a store, other than some people who walk into a store and immediately get on their phone right inside the front door. Don't do that. I can't stand when people do that and walk into the back of them. But most
spatial awareness.
Yeah, spatial awareness. But most people walk into a store and they have a first item in mind that they're going after and they walk to that. And they're kind of oblivious for the first, 15, 30 seconds in a store of what's really around them. But how do you start to, and monetize that and understand where I'm spending my time? Smart technology. To me, it's not just what are the systems. Well, obviously I have my point of sale. I have customer loyalty, which is really a great, easy way to link them, right? To understand that journey. But I also want to focus on what are the things, if you walk in, so smart shelf, smart retail, if you walk into a store and you're looking at the toothpaste aisle, if you stay for 30 seconds or less, you tend to buy off of shelf 1. If you stay for 2 minutes in that section, you tend to buy off of the bottom. You're doing more analysis. You're looking through more. And that changes, as a retailer, what you charge for that space, right? I mean, you're a real estate company at the end of the day to those brands. So to me, there's more about gaining IoT systems, intelligence of the in-store experience, as well as, I know this is more about in some of our future sessions, I'm sure we'll talk about smart inventory and things like that. But that's another key piece of that consumer experience. When I come into the store, have the product. Right?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because I think for, modernizing the in-store experience, unified commerce, I think part of that is, utilizing technologies like AI to help with your fulfillment process to ensure you understand in a lot less labor intensive way which product needs to be at which store at any given time based off of consumer buying behavior. What we're going to see moving forward is a lot of those technologies exist, right? Our big box retailers, they do a lot of smart supply chain activity today. I think AI is going to make that a lot more streamlined.
It makes it easier and cheaper to do because it's doing the task. We always talk about automation in an IT world is any task you don't want to do more than once, right? You automate and you have it do that. So rather than having a person in the past went through and did inventory, right? And it was overnight work shifts and all of that. Now that's all automated. But the next is the fulfillment piece being automated, or not just going, okay, we're out, you need to order more, but demand planning and AI being able to stitch together from point of sale, from 360 journey, from current inventory levels, and looking at doing demand planning for you. And depending on what line of retail you're in, you may change seasonally, you may change your product. So that to me is where AI is going, helping you stay ahead of that curve automatically. One of the key things in retail, and from our side, when we build business models to help support a retailer, take a retail customer with 3,000 sites, and we build this business plan. I mean, we've got real people that support that. There's cost to us. And I would say if you're off by $10 a month per store, it's $30,000 a month, right? And so think about the same in terms of hourly or salary, like the work efficiency in a store. If I'm a retailer with 1,000 locations and I have a person doing that in each store, the amount of hours saved when that is automated.
And what they can refocus their efforts on. A couple of us attended a retail conference a few months ago, and one of the major trends was frictionless commerce versus meaningful friction. And I think what we're going to see with AI, for example, taking off some of the workload of some of the in-store activity as well, helps you really focus on that meaningful friction, again, giving a positive customer experience. So I think those worlds are marrying together pretty nicely.
And as they marry, this is what I see currently is probably the biggest miss, is the compute stack that is needed. So a lot of retailers, are built out as applications in the cloud or centralized data center, right? Now, you probably have multiple data centers for failover and all of that, but essentially you are set up to connect back to some mothership. That application is not there locally. And so what happens when it goes offline or you go offline, well, we can still take credit cards, but we run a risk that we can't process them. Right? Maybe they get declined later on. And if you're, a fast food restaurant whose average ticket sale is, $14, that's not a huge risk. If you're a big box store that's selling electronics and your, average is $300, like that's a much bigger issue. It's a much bigger risk to take these credit cards without being able to clear them and process them. Also, the amount of data that comes in from smart shelf technologies and IoT, and you're starting to see robotic cleaning and these sorts of things. I need to start computing. And so we're seeing, I wouldn't say people leaving the cloud, but there are functions that either A, don't make sense to be in the cloud because they don't need to be elastic, and they're just constantly growing and growing, or B, need very low latency.
Low latency. Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's where we're seeing retailers basically building out edge compute stack is what we call it in the industry, but it's essentially a bunch of different functions happening locally at the branch. And that's where I think, how do retailers get ready for some of this stuff that we're talking about? Or maybe they've already implemented it and are starting to feel some pain points. You need to have the robust IT stack to handle it, but honestly, you need to start doing some edge computing at the site.
Yeah, it's almost like you need to start the conversation from the foundational layer. Like, okay, I understand what I'm trying to get done. Do I have the systems in place to be able to support that all the way down to the store level? To your point about robotics, right? That needs a low latent compute connection that needs to be on a store, and maybe that's batch uploads to the cloud at some point in time. That's fine. But do you have the compute stack in place? Do you have the network infrastructure in place? Do you have the right security in place down to the store level, which could be seen as the foundation for anything that you want to do that is meaningful to the customer experience?
We've seen some betas or prototypes, but the employee-less store.
Yeah.
Right. The idea that you walk in, you swipe a credit card, and now it uses cameras to understand what you're picking up and putting in your cart and weighing it, and then you just walk out. Okay, what happens if you're offline, right? That's a much bigger issue. So I think these sorts of things, that level of intelligent compute and AI happening at the store is really driving to that.
Yeah, and again brings you back to the the meaningful friction. If AI is able to do all of those things, your face-to-face behavior with an employee changes big time because they're able to personalize an experience to you because they're not overwhelmed by a whole lot of other things. Let's talk through a little bit about the long-term vision, long-term future. What do you see, we're talking 3 years from now, 5 years from now, what do you see the retail landscape looking like technologically?
Let me summarize what we kind of said to this point. It's being utilized to drive a customer experience that, one, creates brand loyalty, and two, increases spend, right? Increases the ARPU of a customer. So what does the future of retail look like? The other part we haven't necessarily talked about today is physical security. Which we're seeing, a lot of retail brands struggling with shrinkage, with loss, with product walking out the store. I think technology is going to help around that. There's this balance of everything's behind a locked door, locked glass. That's friction. I don't want to come into the store and have to, right? So how do we use smart shelves, smart locking, again, to be able to maybe swipe a credit card, self-serve sort of thing. Sensors are going to be everywhere. IoT sensors all over the store for a lot of different functions and a lot of different reasons. So that means I need, some controller locally for my IoT. I think you're going to see smart mobile technology. People might come at me for this. Nobody likes self-checkout. It's annoying. The lines are still just as long. And actually, there's some stores that are experimenting with doing away with self-checkout now. And I go to self-checkout and then I scan something and I still need to have, it could be cold medicine and they still come over and, have to check your IDs. That's not self-checkout. It's not frictionless. I think you're going to see more move to that, right? The idea of being able to swipe a credit card. Obviously, certain things like alcohol are controlled, medicines are still going to need that. But this shift to being able to walk around a store and, with a scanner or whether it's AI, all of that's going to require these sensors. Security, as you collect this data, is obviously going to be more and more important. But I think it is going to be a less friction, more fun customer experience in the store. And I think it's going to drive people into the store. It's easier to go get instant gratification. I was shopping online because it removed some of the annoyances I had in a retail store. I think those annoyances are going away and it's becoming an experience of, getting to come in there. But that to me is an omnipresent network. And I think I don't know, we'll get into it today, but private 5G in the store versus just Wi-Fi.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because I do think we're seeing, especially all the way down to the end user device, whether that's a scanner that you walk around in the store, we're starting to see those devices now be 5G capable. Let's talk through that private wireless that you're seeing out in the market.
Private 5G is really designed for a couple of things. One is it's secure, but also it is much lower latency. And I can cover more space. In retail, where you have high ceilings, large space, Wi-Fi is expensive. But you can't have any missed corners or missed coverage, or all of a sudden, your people with their handheld scanners, your employees, or your IoT devices, you can't have these, dark areas. So as edge compute moves into the store to enable all of these other things, we have an opportunity. We talked about a controller for IoT. There's a controller for 5G called a RAN. You can run a RAN right there on that. And so I can deploy less APs, saving me money. I can run 5G radios off of that, giving me more coverage. And that's how I'm deploying less APs. But then I also can start to put more and more compute locally to the store, that whether it's robotics, whether it's handheld scanners, that becomes a very important piece. And I think that's a huge wave that's coming in retail is private 5G.
Yeah, I think if you're looking to check two boxes, one of which is have a frictionless commerce experience, two is to have extreme personalization down to the consumer, I think we will see 5 years from now most of these large retailers having some sort of 5G infrastructure. I think, we've worked with different like tire clients over the years, right? And I remember one time sitting in front of that client and they said, listen, nobody likes to buy tires. That is a bad experience. You come into the store, we give you free coffee, we have a TV, we have a comfortable couch, and that's how we're trying to make your experience better. One, they know your buying preferences because of what you bought in the past. They know who you are whenever you walked in the door because you've had geo-fenced. They're able to offer you customized drinks, coffee, snacks based off of your history with them. You have all of this customer data available to you to offer a personalized experience to make that change. I do think it starts with things we've talked about today. I think AI, I think marrying that with data analytics to give personalized journeys. All of the infrastructure like 5G in the future is going to drive those two things: frictionless commerce, extreme personalization to the consumer.
Yep.
You and I, we do a lot in fast casual. We do some big box retailer. Retail market is so expansive, whether it's home and garden, whatever that may be. What we've talked about today so far around frictionless experience or personalization, how does that look across the different markets within the retail sector?
So retail is very broad, as you said. Let's take home and garden. One of the ways, and we're starting to see some do this, right? I've got the app. The app has location tracking. I am looking for something very, very, very small and very, very specific. I need a 3/8, nut, and I got to come in and walk down every single aisle. We're starting to see, well, take a picture of it, right? Have you ever been doing a home project and you're like, I don't know, is this 5/16?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Take a picture of it, upload it into the app, and go, this is what it is, and it's in aisle 4.
Yep.
That is frictionless, right? That's a huge benefit because these stores are so big and have so much inventory, and you're looking for one, very, very small thing.
Let me interrupt you real quick on that, because I think that's a really good example where we're going to see, for example, like physical security being married to e-commerce, being married to the in-store experience, meaning you take a picture at home, tells you where it's at your local store, you buy it right then, you walk in the store, facial recognition knows that you've already bought that. It's all tied to your CRM system. So you get to walk in, grab your part, walk out, loss prevention's taken care of. That is going to be a very unique experience in the home and garden example that you'll see down the road.
I touched on like security of like things being locked up in a shelf. Like obviously I'm talking about like everyday home goods, like detergent and stuff like that. I think RFID tagging, one, we're already starting to see retailers use it and save a ton of time on inventory. But I think adding in, some geolocation for big ticket things.
Agreed.
To be able to track. I mean, we already see, an Apple device leaves an Apple store without being bought. It starts sending an alarm, and it, as soon as the battery, as soon as you power it on, it's setting an alarm and it's useless.
Yep.
Right. I think you're going to start seeing some of that smart tech.
I think so too.
To help curb some of the
we're seeing the same thing in POS. We see a lot of retailers using these mobile POS devices. The second that walks out of a geofence location, their software is triggering, hey, wipe that device.
You'll start to see with bigger ticket items, RFID and geotagging becoming a big,
I think
big
you're
part
right.
of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this one up, John. Thank you so much for your time today. This is the Retail Tech Revolution, and we today talked about modernize the in-store experience through unified commerce. Unified commerce is the future.
It is. And we love having these conversations. One, they're wildly interesting. But two, what's unique, when we sit down with retailers, think about all the things we talked about today. That involves your marketing team. It involves your loss prevention team.
Yep.
It involves your, obviously, IT team. But those are, the IT is who we're used to sitting down and talking with.
Yeah.
And now it's really using IT to enable those other lines of business within retail. And that's really, really fun. And so we work on a cohesive strategy. It is no longer just about AP so people can get on guest Wi-Fi.
Right.
It is a unified plan across the organization, and CBTS is here to help, and we love those conversations.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you all for your time today, and until next time.
Yep. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks.